We are live on talkSPORT, and there's no escaping us because you can watch the show in a variety of different ways on your TV: Samsung, LG, Fire TV, Apple TV, Chromecast, Android, Google TV, even Prime Video. There is no escaping us, and thanks to everybody who is doing that, and I mean everybody. My God, we are humbled by what we hear on a daily basis. We're live all the way through until 1 o'clock. I mentioned at the top of the show, Danny has had a particularly tough week, of course. He's in here again, but it was live with me and Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs on deadline day on Monday night. And of course, we all know what happened then. And we all know what happened previous to deadline day. In the build up to the 7 o'clock deadline itself, Alexander Isak got his way out of Newcastle into Liverpool, £125 million, but in the process kicked up a stink. Oh, the club broke promises. But in the process, he got his move. Same with Johan Wissa. Kicked up something of a stink at Brentford. Got his way. He's up in the northeast now, pulling on a Newcastle shirt. So it seems if you agitate, you get there. But Mark Guehi at Crystal Palace chose not to go down that road. And Danny, on Monday, thought maybe that was wrong.
Every player's individual, and Guehi's supposed to be a great lad, so respect to him for the way he's conducted himself. What I'm saying is, the way football is sometimes, this opportunity now might never come again. There's a possibility of that.
I get what you're saying.
Now, sometimes an opportunity comes to you in life where you have to do whatever it takes to get to that place, in whatever way you look at it.
Yeah.
He didn't. He decided, I'm going to keep playing, do the right thing. He made it easy for Palace to keep him. If he'd have kicked up a stink a couple of weeks ago, already out the team, telling Parish, if you don't let me have this opportunity, which might never come to me again, all the things that Isak's done, Wissa's done.
That was a Monday, now we're at Wednesday morning. Do you still stand by that, Mr. Murphy?
I stand by the fact if he'd have kicked up, he'd have got out, probably. Doesn't mean I'd necessarily say it's the right thing to do. Depends who you are and the way you think. I mean, he's got the luxury, unlike the others, of only having a year left. So if for the sake of 3 or 4 months, maybe, I don't know the conversations he's had, but maybe January could be the win where Palace have time to get someone in and they let him go. So he's only looking at, what we got, 4 months or 3 or 4 months to that. So maybe he feels more comfortable that the risk he's got, which anybody has when they go on a football pitch, is injury. I'm not suggesting he won't get a move next summer if he gets injured, but his options might be less because it, depends on loads of things. But ultimately, he's the type of guy, by the looks of it, isn't comfortable doing that. And you have to respect that. And I think long-term he'll gain benefit from that in terms of the adoration he'll continue to keep forever from the Palace fans and all those things, which might mean a lot to him. It doesn't mean a lot to some players.
Do you think, Simon, that there are a degree of legs in the stories we have heard since then? It's understood, despite undergoing part of his Liverpool medical, an ultimatum from Glasner to the board saw the deal collapse. It was reported at one point last night that Guehi was going to release a statement. That never came to light. There was no statement from Guehi. Other publications have suggested sources close to the player say he will reject any offer of a new contract from Palace and plans to leave as a free agent next summer.
Gee, that's insightful. He's already told us that. We know all that. He's not going to sign a new contract. He never was going to sign a new contract. That was clear a year ago.
Well, why would he? That'd be
Why would he sign a new contract? I mean, the fact of the matter is that what we're talking about, he could have put a transfer request in. He could have made it difficult for Palace by refusing to not play. But my view is that he can put a transfer request in and still play. And make his position very clear with Palace.
Yeah,
he would have made his position quite clear with Palace. The water seems to be muddied by Palace by wanting him available for games, wanting European competitions to be played. Eberechi couldn't do this because they wanted him to play in the first game of the Europa Conference. And all of these things form an outcome situation that is different to what people think should happen, or when it doesn't happen, or when it does happen to them, they don't like it. When it happens in their favour, they do like it. I mean, the Newcastle fans will be welcoming Wissa in with open arms now, whilst the Brentford fans will think slightly differently of the situation because he's done to Brentford what Isak did to them. And Newcastle fans have forgotten that about Wissa because it suits them to forget about it.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of hypocrisy in the nature of this sport, but who'd ever thought that there wasn't? I mean, the issue for this player is that, there's no issue for him. Danny's right to say the only difference is that he can get injured. He can get injured playing for Liverpool.
Yeah, but then
he's
you
a
got
centre
five-
back.
then you got 5
He's
years contract.
25 years of age. Yes, of course, he's prepared to take that risk.
Yeah.
He's prepared
That's
to take
the
the risk. The risk he could have taken was, I put in a transfer request, but I'm prepared to play. And I'm going to sit with the manager and say, you really must push the board. You really must push the board
To get
somebody in to replace him.
Right.
Because the reason why Glasner threw his toys out the pram,
Yeah.
because what I said yesterday was, what have Palace achieved? Let's look at what Palace have achieved. And I know we heard football fans yesterday saying, well, we're going to have a good season this season. At the end of next season, Guehi's going to be gone. And you're going to get bugger all for him. And Glasner's going to be gone. So what did you achieve? You achieved Mark Guehi staying for probably another 4 or 5 months because he'll probably go in January.
I think he'll go in January.
And so with the best will in the world, Palace as a football club is bigger than Oliver Glasner.
Sure.
Bigger than Steve Parish, is bigger than Mark Guehi. So the outcome was, what did anyone really achieve? 5 minutes of more benefit from having a player. What should have happened, really, was Palace should have sold Guehi earlier on in the window, bought a centre-back and quietened it all down.
Do you think this would have got to this if Dougie was still there? Because it seems to run, to run a lot more smoothly.
Yeah,
when
I
he was
do.
there.
Yeah, I do. I don't want to breach confidences, but I think there were battles to get players signed when Dougie was there and players sold.
they got
But you know,
done.
Danny, when it comes to
about.
players, are players tone deaf when it comes to social media or what they get their social media teams to put out in their name? Alexander Isak released a goodbye message to the club. I want to express my gratitude to my teammates, the staff, and above all, the city of Newcastle, the amazing fans for the 3 unforgettable years that we shared together. He goes on to say what it was like to win, of course, the Carabao Cup, to win a trophy. It's been an honour to be part of the journey from reaching the Champions League to winning the first trophy in over 70 years. Forever grateful. Thank you, Newcastle. That's what he puts out afterwards. But days before, don't bother trying to reintegrate me into the squad because I'm not having it.
It's the lesser of two evils. Damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Because if he doesn't, he looks like he doesn't care. And then someone will say, well, he could have at least said thanks for the time. You know?
But answer me this. Anthony Gordon and Sven Botman know they're going to pull on a Newcastle shirt and run out in front of their fans sooner than later. Gordon on social media, and I like Anthony, I've met him a few times, he's a good lad, but he says, regardless of the situation and what's gone on, it's been a pleasure to play with you. That's what he wrote. One of the best chemistries I had in the pitch. More importantly, a great person and teammate. I wish you nothing but the best, brother. Sven Botman. What started off as teammates growed in one of my rare best friendships. No words needed, brother. All the best in your next chapter.
I don't mind that. I understand where you're going with it.
Would you have done that?
I don't know. Social media. I don't think so because I wouldn't be on there. But
I don't want to reintegrate with them. Don't put me back in with them because I want to go there.
yeah, but that ain't a reflection of the personalities of the
And then
players.
they, after he gets his move to go there, come out and say, what a great guy.
Isak thought he had to do those things to get his move, and he got his move. His relationship with the players and his friendship with those guys wouldn't have been damaged in any way. Footballers aren't that way. In fact, the Newcastle lads will completely understand why he's done what he's done, because half of them would have done it themselves. You know, that's the reality of it. Let's be straight here. If Anthony Gordon was in the same position, I think he'd have probably done the same.
But from Gordon and Botman,
And he will when a bigger club comes in for him.
Well, he'd be desperate to go Liverpool.
would a private message to Isak
suffice? Yeah. I see, yeah. I think that would work, yeah.
But how
All the best,
And
mate.
protect yourself from the fans.
You've been through a lot.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
been a bit shaky.
Yeah, but I've got you
Good
back.
luck.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. It would be the sensible way to do it. Because what Anthony Gordon
you
and
don't understand social media, do you?
No,
Go
but
on.
they have left themselves open a little bit to the fan base.
But that's how social media is. Why does anybody put up anything on social media? Why? So
Not to make money.
who
Some
are you
people to
talking
make money.
No, but I mean, but who are we talking to? When every time we put something on Twitter, who are we talking to? I can talk to my mate across the room. I don't need to put something on Twitter and go, I hated this game against Liverpool versus Arsenal. It was boring. Why do people do things on social media? Because the nature of the beast is people get attention. People get a reaction.
So
but that's my
are
very
you
point.
saying you put things on Twitter for attention?
I say
what you just said.
I say that I put things on social media because I probably want to get a reaction.
Or you end up arguing with people who
So-
said when you were at Palace you had orange hair or something. But that's my very point.
It wasn't orange.
So do
That's
you
my
put,
very point.
hold on, Jim.
I
Do you
said to
put
Danny-
stuff on Twitter just when you're bored to have a row?
Not
Yes,
to have a
is the answer
row.
to
Well, if it's not for attention, it's just for fun. To just
Yeah, but both.
agitate people.
Yeah, but no, not to agitate people. It's probably I'm probably a bit bored in the company that I'm in. So I sit next to him tweeting all the time. That's why.
I don't think Anthony Gordon and Sven Botman have done what they did on social media to get a reaction.
Why have they done it then?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Well, why do you think-
Why, I said to
okay,
Danny,
why do you think then?
maybe a private message would have sufficed.
I've given you a reason what I think they've done it for, right?
Go on, what do you
to get- you're saying to get a reaction.
Well, I think it's a social media age, I think people can't help but either virtue signal or show how wonderful they are, how much they support their colleague, right? For whatever reason. He knows they support him. Pick up the phone. I really support you, mate. Good luck with your career. Boom.
Yeah.
But why do you on social media? Because we are their age. So if I think that, right, that's my view of it.
Yeah.
Why do you think they did it?
Could they have done it to back him? To just give him some support?
I'm genuinely confused as to why they would.
Well,
want
if they're
to do
good,
that.
if they're good,
because as I said in the build-up to it, they've got to pull on the Newcastle shirt. They know what all that lot think
Maybe
of
they're
how
both-
Isak
maybe they're-
behaved.
Because they think he's justified to do what he did, probably.
maybe they're both strong characters, and they think I'll back my mate so they can take some of the.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or maybe they think he's done nothing wrong. Or maybe they think that all the hysteria outside of the football club doesn't reflect the reality of what they know behind the scenes, which is more often the case.
Maybe he's never refused to play. We don't know that.
Correct.
But Eddie Howe's never said he refused to play.
Well, what you would like to see is them vilify him.
There's an interesting one. If Simon left for another radio station, would Jim not thank him
Not if.
publicly?
Not if.
When? Not if. Yeah.
What would you say, Jim?
Oh, mate, I'd need to do a word count because the message would be explosive. It would be public,
Especially
of
on
course.
that. I was on the other radio station saying how useless you were.
Yes, indeed. And then I'd send him a private message at night. I never want to see you again.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.